Okay, so welcome to another episode with Tayport Distillery. In the last episode we showed you the mashing in process, and now we're going to be showing you more about the fermentation and the distillation, and also my dad's going to be going through everything about a really modern still here. It's called an iStill. We are Tayport Distillery, a family-run distillery in the Kingdom of Fife. We distill from grain to glass, and our liqueurs are made with freshly picked berries, squeezed by hand for maximum flavour. No concentrates, no flavourings, no fuss, just great taste. Hi, I'm Ali, head distiller here at Tayport Distillery. Join us as we take you behind the scenes to show you how our spirits are made, the process behind them, and the people involved. This is Tayport Distillery.
Today we're at the distillery, busy with fermentation and distillation.
We are getting ready to transfer the wort from the mash tun to the fermenter to start the second phase of today's process. Aye. So, are we on camera, Furry? Just get my breath back after getting up. So we've let the grain settle in the mash tun, and in there what we're doing is converting the starches to sugars, and that's the base then for making our alcohol from the grain. We're going to transfer that wort, which is all sugary, into this fermenter, 2,000 litre fermenter, so we should get 2,000 litres of wort. And later you'll see us introducing the yeast, and it's the yeast that's going to interact with the sugars to start producing our alcohol, which will ultimately become our vodka. So we'll come back to that later.
So yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but what we're trying to do is temperature. So basically it's going to be 55 degrees coming out of the mash tun, and we need it to be about 25 degrees. So this is a good temperature for the yeast to activate. So I mean, that's a bit too low, so I'm going to have to go and turn the water down a little bit.
We need to run off the wort now, and we need to get the wort down to the right temperature for fermentation. The right temperature for fermentation is around 28 degrees. Wort is the sugary liquid that we're taking from the mash tun. So that's what we've done. We've added water to the grain, and that's created the wort, which we need to transfer over to the fermenter for the next stage of the process. But to do that, we've got to cool it first. So at the moment, it's at 60 degrees, and we need to get it down to 28 degrees, and that's our perfect fermentation temperature. So to do that, we have a piece of equipment called a heat exchanger. This is a plate heat exchanger. It's got 80 plates, and we've put cold water into one side of the exchanger to meet with the hot wort coming out of the mash tun. So the hot wort comes in here, and it flows all the way through these plates many times, and we've got cold water coming in the other side of the plates. So the two liquids, they don't actually meet, but they meet just through the plates, and the cold water takes the temperature out of the hot wort to make it the right temperature for fermentation. Hope that was clear.
What's up? Yeah. Oh. Right, okay, so we're going to get the yeast going now. So we basically filled up to the top of the cone there on our fermenter. So I'm going to drain some of this off and add the yeast, add the Cervomyces. I think we'll be at about 25 degrees, which is perfect for the yeast. And then we'll chuck that in now because we want that to be working immediately rather than later on. So let's go. Right, so what we're doing here is we've got some of the wort in this bucket, I'm going to measure out 720 grams of Saft Spirit D53, which is a distiller's yeast, and then we've got Saccharomyces in here as well, which is just helps with the yeast. It's like a nutrient for the yeast to help it get going. So it's actually only 5 grams of this, so you only need a small amount. Okay, so we've got the yeast doing its magic in there, and I'm going to take it up to the top of the fermenter and pour it in. We're going to put the pump on as well to get some oxygen in there to help with the yeast, and it'll also help mix it up in the fermenter as well. So this is pretty much the last stage. Once we put this in there, we'll let it ferment for 4 or 5 days. I mean, we can leave it as long as we want, really, because we're just trying to get maximum yield. So yeah, pretty much the last part before all the cleaning. So yeah, we've the ferment's finished. We've let it go for about 6 or 7 days there. So it's fully converted. We've got the maximum yield we can get out of it, and now I'm just connecting the fermenter to the still. So we're going to load the still up about 500 litres. It's sitting at about 8.5%. And once we distill this, it's called a pot run or a stripping run. We'll have 30% low wines or 35% low wines, which then we'll do a spirit run and get 96%. So yeah, we've, well, not sure how interesting this is, but we've connected the pipe up here just because there's always a lot of sediment that comes across from the mash. So usually the sediment will sit below here, which is about 50 or so litres.
And the yeast.
And the yeast, yeah. So I'm going to open this up, and then it's going to fly straight into the still here. So you get a good video of that coming up.
So Ali's got the still ready for a pot run today, and there's a few interesting things around the distilling process that I'd like to share with you. We'll talk about the pot run itself, and we'll also talk about the technology of the still itself. So first of all, on the pot run, we talked about getting that wash across at 8.5%, and what we're going to do is distill that now and get the alcohol clean and up to around 30%, and that's what this technology allows us to do. During the pot run, which is the first run, it can get a little bit foamy, and we don't actually want this to foam over into the column. We want to keep it all down in the kettle, but there is a product that we use to reduce the foam. I'll just put a little bit in there now, and it works quite quickly just to knock that foam back. So you can actually start to see the liquid appear now, and the bubbles are disappearing by magic. 8 years ago, we went into the market to buy distilling equipment, not really knowing what was best and what we needed. And we came across the iStill equipment, which I would describe as probably the Apple Mac equivalent at the time in the distilling industry. It's a really innovative piece of equipment. The guy that designed this equipment really knew his stuff, a bit of a scientist really. And after visiting and seeing it working, we felt that really will suit what we want to do. So let me tell you a little bit more about the equipment, and then we'll get on to the distilling side itself. Yeah, so 8 years we took the plunge to buy the equipment, and what you can actually see here, which I think is quite neat, is that this iStill 500 is actually 0033, so we got the 33rd machine to be built, and I understand there's nearly 700 of these machines now around the world. When this technology came onto the market, it took off quite quickly as the craft distilling world started to take off. A lot of quality gins and award-winning gins are made on this equipment, but we bought it not just for the gin, but primarily because we knew it could make really high-quality vodka as well. So what we do, we heat up that wash to boiling point, and this effectively is a boiler. I can't describe it as anything other than a big kettle at this stage, and that's what we have down at the bottom. But what we do, and where the magic happens, is when we get the liquid to boil, the vapors then rise up through this feature, which is known as the column of the iStill. And this is what we call a column still, and this is what makes it a little bit different. At the top, we have the cooling section. So we have the vapors which rise up to the top, and then the vapors get condensed and get pushed back down the column. And that's where the distillation process takes place. What that process is called is reflux, but probably getting a little bit technical now, but what we're trying to do there is get the alcohols separated, the nice alcohols separated out, so that we only collect the best alcohols. So if we come around to the side of the still here, we have 3 collection points. We've got what we call heads, we've got what we call hearts, and we've got what we call tails. So what we've done with this equipment, and this is one part I've not showed you yet, we have a PLC controller at the front end, and here we can dial in all of our recipes, and we can dial them in really accurately. That's the beauty of an iStill. The column is so well tuned that we can separate out and collect just the alcohols that we need for the best taste and the best profile, whether it's a gin or whether it's a vodka. And we do this by a combination of management of heat and management of cooling and management of air pressure, and that all gets done through this one PLC. In the old days, you would test by smell. Today, we test using the technology of the still, but you can still look and you can see that this is a sort of coloured liquid, which means it's kind of cloudy. This is the fours that come off first. This is, you just absolutely don't want that. It doesn't smell great. This has got like acetone, which is like your nail polish in it. That's not what you want in your gin or your vodka. You want to keep that out. The heart is nice and clean, nice and clear. That's your pure alcohol, and that's exactly what we're trying to take off the still.
Okay, there's a lot more information on our website. Please give us a look, tayportdistillery.com, and we'll see you next time.